Uh, I'm just handing it over to. We are live now.
We are live now.
Yes,
Is that a ticket for us to start?
yes.
Josiah, how are you?
I'm good, and you?
I'm great. How's Lagos?
Lagos is fine today. It's a bit sunny, but we are not complaining.
Oh, you're not complaining.
Exactly.
Nairobi is fine. You can hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, we had our elections and the determination by the Supreme Court was done yesterday, so we are back to normalcy.
Yeah.
Yes, it's a good improvement there. I've been following it up. I think the same
Yeah,
thing might probably happen in Nigeria. I don't know.
no, we are setting the precedent, and I know other people will learn from us.
Yes.
Yeah, but nice to have you. And Paul, again, nice to have you. Like you said, we can start now.
Yeah.
I'll start by introducing myself, and then I'll drop in Josiah before we dive deeper into the conversation of the day. My name's Julian Roa, Dr. Julian Roa. I'm the Director of Strategy and Quality Assurance at African Blockchain Youth Ambassadors, also known as ABYA. I see myself as a scholar practitioner, gets very excited in bridging the gap between theory and practice. My doctorate is from the University of Liverpool. I also see myself as a conversational intellectual because I really like unpacking stories or unpacking issues. An enthusiast of blockchain technology, I am also the CEO of Schedules Business and Management Consulting, dealing with the intervening of workplace based problems. Today, we are gathered here to discuss another element of blockchain by name cryptoeconomics and cryptocurrency. My research suggests that it is not an area that has been very deeply researched on or fully developed, but Josiah is here today to share with us the knowledge that he has on this space that can also help expand our thinking, even as we try to generate in this very forum any new knowledge that can guide and help us understand these concepts going forward. As is tradition, we will be inviting all the participants to post their questions on the digital board, which questions we will strive to make sure that we put them through to our speaker of the day. Our speaker of the day, again, is you may have realized, those of us who were here last week, it's a repeat attendance of someone who is becoming a friend of ABIA by the name of Josiah Oduso. He is calling in all the way from Nigeria. And by way of background, Josiah Oduso is an experienced business development specialist with a demonstrated history of working in the internet and blockchain industry, skilled in negotiation, marketing, data analysis and business growth, communication, and computer networks. Josiah is a strong business growth professional with a bachelor's degree focused in computer science. Josiah has worked with some of the biggest names in the industry and has a wealth of experience in growing businesses. He is a strategic thinker and an excellent communicator who is always looking for new opportunities to grow business. I want to say a big welcome to you again, Josiah.
Thank you very much, Dr.
We are
Julian.
really happy to have you with us.
I'm pleased to be here as well.
Yeah, by way of introduction and for the benefit of those who are not with us last week, I would like you to take the first 1 to 2 minutes just telling us who you are. And with that, within that very introduction, you can tell us very briefly about the work that you do. Over to you,
Okay.
Josiah.
All right. Thank you. I'm an entrepreneur. I tend to see myself as a problem solver and a negotiator as well. Also, I am what you call in a typical day a growth hacker who likes to solve problems and improve situations and make things better. So that's a brief summary of who I am. Currently, I'm engaged with the project we're building, which is Thrift Finance, a refi wallet that will enable payments, investments, and savings, especially in African contexts.
Thank you very much, Josiah. And before we go deeper, Paul, as is traditional, you may want to tell our audience one or two things on what ABYA is all about, and then we can go into the deep discussions. Paul, over to you.
Thank you, Dr. Julian. My name's Paul Makolaka, and for those of you probably who may be joining us for the very first time, I am the Executive Director of ABYA, and basically ABYA is about increasing literacy and adoption in the area of blockchain, cryptocurrency, and Web3, because we believe that these technologies have a very big potential to change lives within the African context. So that is what ABA is all about, and as you attend more of these sessions, you'll get to know more about ABIA. Thank you. Back to you, Dr. Julian.
Thank you very much. Josiah, I know this is a space that's virgin to most of us. We are still in the learning process. So, no pressure. Just share with us as much knowledge as you have. There may be aspects of my questions that may not be very clear to you. Nothing wrong in just letting us know that it's a gray area that is still undergoing research or more knowledge is still being spewed around it. Ours is just to see how much we can share in the forum of today. And we are really glad that you've graced us with your presence.
Thank you.
So, yeah, and Paul, I'll be calling you once in a while to give me your thoughts on some aspects that I'll be running by Josiah as well. So just be on the lookout in case I ask you to comment on something.
I would be happy to jump in.
Okay. So Josiah, when we speak, you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can hear you.
When we speak about crypto economics, what should come to mind? Crypto economics. What should come to our mind in your thinking?
Well, what normally should come to my mind in my thinking is the very diverse digital assets powering the the cryptocurrency ecosystem or the blockchain ecosystem. So, okay.
Go ahead.
So when you refer to the digital assets, you consider the ecosystem they are powering, their use cases, and what they are doing for the ecosystem.
In a very lay language, how is that space seen to work? How is it seen to work when we talk about the cryptocurrency and you're to explain to a lay person like me? How would you say that it works? I know it is powered by crypto, but is there a platform that that drives it? Is there regulation that governs it? Are there processes that guides it? I don't know. Just tell us when we're thinking about it. What else should we be thinking about?
So a while ago, in some jurisdictions or countries, the regulations are non-existent or they are still emerging, and in some cases have a little gray areas. So a lot of governments took some time to understand what is all about and what the force is all about and why people are talking about it and why they need to adjust in order to fit the current trend. So in terms of cryptocurrencies or digital assets, I think the most important thing about them is their use cases, what they are powering or what they are used for. Although it's quite common to know that a lot of digital assets do not have enough use cases. They are more like some what you call meme coins, like Shape and the rest of them. These are just as a result of euphoria, people's interest. And of course, in a kind of way, if you are to factor in people's interests, you might consider it as a kind of use case, because what people consider as interesting becomes interesting.
Yes, before I ask Paul to jump in. So, in the past, we have known of an economy that is paper driven, and the paper driven here, I mean fiat. Do we also have an economy that is powered within the digital space? I'm trying to look at the way you transmit money, the way you trade using electronic transfer of funding or value, etc., etc. I'm trying to look at what then makes crypto economy different from the other economic models that we are aware of. Before I come back to you, Josiah, Paul, can you help demystify that?
Allow me to delve back a bit
Yeah.
from the traditional sense in terms of the traditional economy, the way we know it. So basically, in the traditional sense, we know that economics is actually the study of how we allocate scarce resources, both at an individual and at a corporate level or organizational level. And when we talk of now crypto economics, basically you are looking at how digital assets, the economic aspect of it, how we distribute them, how we allocate them, and how we incentivize different participants to participate in that space. And in this case, we know that there are blockchain networks that have tokens, like for example Bitcoin. So for example, if I'm a miner, I know that if I'm able to verify or to add a block or a transaction to a block, then I know that I'll get an incentive of a portion of the crypto. And in this case of a Bitcoin, I'll get a proportion of a Bitcoin depending on the amount of information of blocks I've been able to add to the network. So in this case, what makes this very interesting and very, like, to give it value, is the sense that there's scarcity aspect of it. Because if a resource or an asset is not scarce, then that cannot be looked in the purview of economics. Yeah. So the fact that these resources are scarce, and in this case, in crypto economics, we are talking of digital assets or virtual assets, and they have to be scarce for us to be able to look at them in the purview of crypto economics.
So,
So
Paul,
I hope that.
yeah, so I hear you, and I've gotten your arguments, both of you, very clear. There's a point of convergence that brings all the clarity that we need. So when you're speaking about, this is still to you, Paul, when we are speaking about crypto economics, because this is one definition I'd really like us to all be aligned on, we are talking about an alternative or a different ecosystem for economic activity.
Yes.
Would I be right to put it that way? And then crypto then becomes the defining principle behind this one.
So just to probably give it more context, in the traditional economic space, we have institutions that have been given the mandate to, let's say, for example, provide regulation, or to be able to give a framework within how through which through which activities can be carried out. But in the crypto economics, The difference is that as opposed to the traditional, sense or context, here you find that, for example, we are not governed by, the traditional legal framework, number one. Number two, we do not have central authority that governs activities. Yeah. So in terms of governance is totally decentralized in that people, participants or stakeholders within the ecosystem have been given incentives so that they can do the right thing within that ecosystem, so that we do not have a regulatory framework that guides on how people behave, on how participants behave.
Okay.
But what guides on how participants behave, it is an economic incentive, so that you are incentivized to do the right thing rather than doing the wrong thing. You are incentivized to promote the network or the system or the ecosystem rather than do activities that would harm it.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. That brings a lot of clarity. Now, Josiah, I'll come back to you. If you can hear me, Josiah.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Great. We've taken time to unpack our understanding of crypto economics. And because for me, that's a very, very powerful place to begin in understanding when what we mean when we're talking about blockchain, what we mean when we talk about cryptocurrency at all. Now, I will bring you closer to another item, which is also, a bit amorphous and many people understand it differently. But I'd like to have your take on this. What then is cryptocurrency? I know you may have alluded to it earlier, but now just unpack it for us again. Now, when we talk about cryptocurrency, we already are clear about crypto economy. What is cryptocurrency? What should be our understanding?
Well, in the simplest form of it, cryptocurrency are digital assets or digital currencies. Now, but if you talk about digital currencies, a lot of digital currencies are not backed up by blockchain.
Correct. Okay.
Right? So there have to be a little bit of difference. So in terms of digital assets in the context of cryptocurrencies that have to do with blockchain or blockchain products, or digital assets that have to do with blockchain or blockchain products, rather.
Okay. Interesting. Paul, do you have anything to add before I go to the next item? We are trying now to demystify the definition of crypto. Different writers have defined it differently.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. So for me, I would again use the traditional context just to define it, because in the traditional sense, we know that a currency is a medium of exchange, and for that matter, whatever it is that people agree to be a medium of exchange, then that becomes a currency. For example, it could be fiat currency, like paper money or coins the way we know them. It could be a piece of gold. It could be a stone. In ancient times, they even had things like cowrie shells. So as a medium of exchange. So in the context now of cryptocurrency, this is basically a digital asset that have been agreed upon within a network to be a medium of exchange. So that, for example, a medium of exchange in the context that I can use Bitcoin to pay for a service or a good.
interesting. Okay. We are now really unpacking this, and I hope that our attendees today are beginning to understand, putting into perspective or context some of these terms that we have used very loosely in the past. Josiah, I'll come back to you again. How established, and this is your intelligent guess, it could be data that you have with you, but how established is cryptoeconomics globally? How established is it globally? And then specific to Africa. I'd just like to pick your thoughts on that. How established is this concept?
Okay. I think in terms of cryptocurrency and the global outlook, um, there's still a lot to be done, right? The spread, as much as we are hearing about cryptocurrency here and there, if you look at it critically, a lot of people are still not aware of such or even involved in such. And as a result of it, a lot of people are still shying away from such things because of misconception or prevalent fraud that have existed in the past or in the present, or even situations like hacks that's going on here and there. So a lot of people are a bit careful when you talk about cryptocurrency. So in the terms of the global outlook, there is still cryptocurrency is still at the early phase. I would still say it's still at the early phase of it, because when you talk about when you say we have really gotten there, then it should be a situation whereby at least one third of the world is one way or the other using cryptocurrency. But I do not have the accurate data, but I'm
It's
certain.
fine.
Yes, I'm certain one third of the world is not yet involved with cryptocurrency. And
Go ahead, go ahead, go ahead.
and in terms of Africa, it's it's fortunate that Africa have taken the lead, just behind India. I think India have more cryptocurrency owners more than Africa. I think India is number one in the world. So Africa have taken the lead in terms of using cryptocurrency. But in terms of adopting cryptocurrency products or blockchain products, Africa is still a bit lagging behind.
Interesting. In about 8 out of 10 people that I speak to randomly, talking to them about blockchain, crypto economics, 8 of those 10 do not even know what blockchain is all about. And that is random check here in this market in Nairobi, Kenya. And this forces me to ask Paul this question. I'm throwing this question to you, Paul. How much longer before crypto economics becomes a way of life globally and then in Africa?
Now, you know, in statistics, they like using probability, yeah.
Yeah.
And for me, based on historical trends that we have seen with other technologies, I think that in the next, like in the next 2 to 3 years, I think we will start experiencing that phase of exponential growth when it comes to blockchain, when it comes to cryptocurrency, when it comes to Web3, yeah. Because I'm saying that based on the fact that, for example, if you look at let's say, I'll give an example with the central bank digital currencies, yeah. As of today, more than 80% of central banks globally are either researching on central bank digital currencies. They have already have started pilots, or they're even considering implementing central bank digital currencies. So that should tell you something, because for such trusted institutions to to start thinking in those lines, that means that they know something that the masses do not know. And so it's just a matter of time. And for me, I'm giving it to within the next 2 to 3 years, we should start experiencing that exponential growth phase
Two
in
to
this
three years.
space.
2 to 3 years
Two to
sounds
three
very
years.
ambitious. That sounds very
Yes.
ambitious, but I'll
Yeah.
give you that. Josiah, I think 2 to 3 years is very ambitious.
It's
If
quite
if
ambitious.
if today 8 out of 10 do not appreciate the significance of this technology, we have a fundamental problem, Josiah. What do you say?
I agree because for cryptocurrency adoption to take that kind of sharp slope in terms
Yeah.
of 2 to 3 years, you have to talk about use cases, and the use cases will have to be use cases that are direct to people's needs,
Uh-huh.
right? So these are the kind of things that will get people involved in trying to know about cryptocurrency, talk less of using it. So till products that are targeting people's needs start coming up, direct people's needs, considering context, locations per locations that they are different. Till they start coming up, in my 2 to 3 years might be quite ambitious.
Dr. Let me
Okay.
add in something.
Okay.
Now,
Yeah.
when I say, as I said, I specifically say that within 2 to 3 years, we will start that exponential. Not that we will be in the exponential growth phase, but
Uh-huh.
we will start it. And the
We will
reason why,
start it. Okay.
yes, we'll now start that phase. And the reason why I'm saying that, for example, I'm involved in a project whereby there's a project that we are doing a pilot with 5 countries in Africa, and we are doing with Kenya, Senegal, Cote d'Ivoire, Morocco, and Gabon, 5 countries. And the pilot that we're doing with those countries are very serious utility use cases for blockchain, and especially in the area of climate action. Yeah. And this project, we are doing it with Africa Adaptation Initiative, which is an affiliate is an affiliate body of the African Union. And I'm saying that because, in fact, even the upcoming COP27 that is going to happen in November in Egypt, there is already a lot of momentum that conversations about the use cases of blockchain is actually, it's picking a lot of momentum, is picking a lot of interest. And actually, we are going to present a very, very strong case for blockchain. And so for me, I'm saying this because, there are those conversations that are happening that are not necessarily in the public domain, but those conversations are there. And I can tell you for a fact that, in terms of, the use case of blockchain for cryptocurrency, that has already been proven. And that has already peaked. Yeah. Now, the next phase, the next frontier where blockchain is really going to excel is now in the area of utility use cases. And so that's why I said in the next 2 to 3 years, I can tell you it's going to be a very, very interesting phase for blockchain.
Very interesting. And I appreciate both your perspectives on this. There will be no wrong or right answers. You have both argued your cases very, very well. Time will tell us. Time will tell us who between us was right. Now, Paul, I don't know if this is the point where you'd like to run that small clip, or do I ask the next question? Then we do the clip.
You can run the next question. Once that is done, then I can run the clip.
Okay. So the next question will be a bit interesting, Josiah. I've struggled with this since the first time I took an interest in the subject of blockchain. Crypto is a currency. It could be a token, it could be something virtual, it could be a key. People have different ways of defining it. But the question for me is, where does the supply of crypto begin? Where I know the supply of the fiat, I know where it begins. The government makes a decision, central bank makes a decision. we are short of cash, either the inflation issues, we have to pull cash back, or whatever, we pump in more money. I know where the cash begins, and I have a trail of that, and I can assign that cash to a certain value or a certain phenomenon. Where does the supply of crypto begin?
Okay.
Just like,
To ask,
and it's not a
to,
trick question.
to answer your question,
Yeah.
I think this is more like saying NFTs are just
Uh-huh.
images or
Yeah.
videos,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And in terms of, but let me go direct to the question in the first instance.
Uh-huh.
Cryptocurrencies originate, in the real sense of it, from the team behind the project, right? They are the people that create these tokens, right? And
Uh-huh.
in platforms, in some networks, you have what you call native tokens. It means
Uh-huh.
that these tokens might have power to perform just like the parent blockchain, just as seen in platforms like Cardano, right?
Uh-huh.
And but the fact of it is, it originates from the team behind the project. However, what the most important factor behind originating these cryptocurrencies is, like I mentioned earlier, the use case behind it. In certain platforms that are not cryptocurrency platform, there is what we call credits.
Uh-huh.
In different apps, you have credits, and you can use this credit maybe to subsidize the price of a product or the price of the services they are offering, or even use it to do one or two things in their platforms. Let's look at cryptocurrency as a kind of token or credit that you can get and use it in a particular blockchain product that
Uh-huh.
it's been involved with. But however, what actually makes it valuable and useful is how it's going to be used. And for most cryptocurrencies, it goes as far as making it a community thing, right? It's no longer in the hands of the team behind the project. It goes as far as when you talk about governance, right? The community now is involved in deliberating or in how this currency is used. So they have called it a valuable asset, and is useful depending on the use cases they are using it for. And within that ecosystem, is valuable to them. And in future, other ecosystems that are not actually part of those particular group of people might start seeing it useful. Or even retail investors can start coming in, oh, I can make some profit out of it. So it's just the natural fact about money. Money is useful because we said it's useful.
Interesting, Josiah. And it will force me to ask this question. When central bank governs money, I know how it all starts, printing and everything, and how that is channeled all the way into the economy. Paul, I agree with what Josiah is saying, but I have a problem with it from an economic policy perspective. Because you only exchange something for value. What is this that I'll have done so that this token becomes available to me? I struggle with that. And then number two, who is this person who has the abundance of this token that has the power to allocate it to me once I've performed a certain act? Who is this person? How is this person governed? How is this person regulated? So that the value of the token, as Josiah, you have rightfully put it, can be sustained. Paul, I'm throwing that question to you. This is the confusion that we don't get answers for from the blockchain enthusiasts. Paul, you and Josiah must unpack this today.
Thank you, Dr. Julian. Now, let me put it this way. Number one, there is no blockchain network that builds itself. It has to be built by people. There are people somewhere that has to have this idea. They have to have this vision on what they think or on what they envision this token or crypto or the use case that this token is going to have. Yeah. Number two, when they are setting it up, they have to allocate the tokens. They have to decide that, for example, the community, sorry, the core developers that have come up with this idea, for example, they are going to allocate themselves, let's say, for example, 25% of the token, or 10%, or 5%, whatever it is that they decide. And then the other point, of course, would be, with every and then the third point is that the token that have been allocated or distributed, they have to have scarcity aspect of it, because in the long run, that is what gives it value. The scarcity aspect of it. It cannot be infinite. If that happens, then it becomes useless. Yeah. Then number four, there's what we call network effect. In that, depending on how people have been mobilized, how community have been mobilized to to participate or use this token, that will determine on how that token becomes valuable in the long term. And just to bring in the aspect of network effect, the more people you are able to bring to participate in that ecosystem or in that network, that is one of the things that will drive the value of that token.
Thank you, Paul. So
I must add to what
go ahead, sir.
Paul said. So I think one of the key things you have to take a look at is the economic incentive.
Yeah.
Most cryptocurrencies, most crypto platforms are built in such a way that it's community owned, right? And for the community to do the right thing, just like Paul mentioned earlier, there have to be some incentive, motivation, right? Remember, the purpose of blockchain in the first place is for freedom, for decentralization, for people to have a fair chance in these platforms. And for them to participate in the platforms, aside from the utility of this token, aside from the utility of different tokens, you have to take a look at the economic incentive that powers the ecosystem. In most cryptocurrencies are critical to the innovations they are powering. Without the cryptocurrencies, these innovations will not function. It will not go a long way. So when you talk about in platforms like Cardano, for instance, for the network to be decentralized, people have to participate in the network, and they have to get a reward from it. And that reward is in form of tokens, right? And if without such participation, the network will not be decentralized. And that means that innovation will not be powered. Now, outside this particular issue, you have to take a look that there are offshoots of real problems being solved in different fields, in tech, in health, powered by projects coming out of these innovations, both in platforms like Polygon, Cardano, Ethereum, right? So when you talk about, you see how critical, when you look at it from this perspective, you see how critical cryptocurrencies that are useful, I have to mention specifically, that are valuable, that brings value, are important to the ecosystem they are powering.
Very, very interesting. So let me bring a twist to the conversation, and I'm throwing this to you, Josiah. The volatility of crypto has been identified as one of the biggest risks. When I look at how the entire process is done, I'm quickly persuaded that that maybe explains why we see those spikes. I could be wrong. But speak to us about volatility and the supply chain and how it works. What is the correlation? What is the relationship between that spike and the movement of crypto within its own circulation, within its own ecosystem? I hope you've gotten my question. Volatility. How do you explain that?
Yes, I got your question. So
Yeah.
before I explain that volatility, I have to add a little bit of context
Please do.
to it. So in normal trading stocks or forex, the volatility exists.
Yeah.
There are many factors that could affect it. Perhaps the economic situation of the world, or
Yeah.
the economic situation of the particular asset in their company or the country, their currency, or disasters. In terms, just like when COVID happened, the whole market went down. Both cryptocurrencies and assets that are not cryptocurrencies, all of every down, 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 down. So volatility in this context have to do with the factors affecting how the prices of these tokens, right? So if the factor is as a result of natural world economic situation, then for me, I think it's normal, it's expected. But there are cases where a group of people comes out, they decide to create a token, right? And they create this token and distribute it amongst other participants. And at some point, decide to dump it on the participants. And as a result of that, you will see spikes like from a very high bar to the lowest form of bars. And these are the things that discourage people a lot. These are one of the factors that discourage people from participating in blockchain or cryptocurrency products. But however, for a discerning eye, the quickest way to be cautious about all these things is to look at the tokenomics, what I will in my own what I'll call the economic policy of the project, right? So if you look at it and it doesn't seem right to you, probably the team gets very large allocation, like without any vesting, even if there is vesting, but there is a very large allocation allocated to the team. There's problem in the future, because eventually, if care is not taken, they will dump it on the users. And that is why some countries are starting to have already started different regulations to make sure that such fraud do not happen, right? So for a retail investor, I think it's very important to look at the tokenomics backing the project before actually trying to get involved in the project. Thank you. I hope I answered your question anyway.
Amazing. Yeah, you've done it a lot of justice. Paul, if you want to react to Josiah's or add something to what Josiah has said, we just have under a minute to do that. Then I move to the next
question. Just to add on to what Josiah has already said, I think that one of the biggest problems that we have in this space of cryptocurrency is that we've had players from the traditional finance who have crossed over to cryptocurrency. And when they have done that, they have tried to apply the same models that have been used in the traditional finance and have failed over and over again. Yeah? And I'll just give you an example. So we have, for example, issue of people chasing after yields and doing what we call rehypothecation. Now, for example, these are similar things that have failed many times in the traditional finance. Like, for example, we have what we call collateral debt obligations, yeah, CDOs, whereby, for example, you all remember what happened in 2008, whereby you give credit to people who are not qualified, yeah, and then you come and buy these loans, package them, give them a very fancy name, and then sell them to third parties. Yeah. So that is the same thing that has been happening in crypto space, and it's very unfortunate. So it is like the case of taking new wine, taking old wine
Good wine.
and trying to put it in the new wineskin or vice versa. So that is the biggest problem that we've had. I think one of the things that we should understand that crypto is very, very different from traditional finance. We have to understand that. And we cannot try to replicate the same models that have failed in traditional finance and try to replicate them in crypto finance. They will fail. They will fail miserably. So those are the problems that we are having. But in terms of the concept behind crypto, they are very good. Yeah. But when we try to build models on top of blockchain or crypto using the traditional models, we'll have problems. Thank you, Dr. Back to you.
Thank you so much. You guys have articulated that extremely well. Now I know that we need to insulate ourselves even as we invest on crypto. Paul, I'll invite you to play that clip for a bit.
Enterprise blockchains have limitless potential, but privacy is a major challenge. How can businesses secure their private transactions on a public network, especially when enterprise blockchains have been closed, unaudited, centralized? Introducing Polygon Nightfall, designed for the needs of enterprises. Nightfall uses a hybrid approach to scaling to give enterprises an option that was considered impossible. ZK rollups keep transactions private on a public network. Optimistic rollups offer efficient, scalable transactions. Secured by Ethereum, Nightfall means trust, transparency, and credibility. Aiming to disrupt the $50 trillion global supply chain industry, Polygon Nightfall unlocks the true potential of enterprise blockchains and empowers businesses to connect and scale in powerful new ways. Polygon Nightfall. Mainnet beta is now live.
Beautiful, Paul. You can talk us very quickly through the clip from Polygon.
So for you probably who are wondering what this is all about, Polygon as among the partners who believed in what ABYA is trying to do. And they are one of the major players within the blockchain and cryptocurrency space. So that is one of the innovations that they have come up with. And I'm sure probably in future, a number of you will be able to interact with this kind of products. Thank you. Back to you, Dr. Julian.
Thank you very much. We have just about 10 minutes. We'll try and see how we can maximize on that. But Josiah, we've dwelt a lot about, we've discussed crypto economics, and we've gone into cryptocurrency, which is a big, big component of it. Talk us through the different types of cryptos that we should be aware of, giving us the features that could be differentiating them. And then Paul can also jump in if he's aware of any others that you may not have mentioned. Josiah, over to you. What are the types of cryptos out there and how are they differing in features?
Okay. In terms of crypto, I think I look at it generally from native and non-native tokens, right? When you talk about native tokens, you talk about tokens that have the power to, they have the full power to power the ecosystem they are being used on. And they could be used as fees for such ecosystem. And for non-native tokens, they have limited ability. They are existing on top of the parent token, and for transactions to happen, they need the parent token for fees and the rest of them. Then categorizing it further, you might look at DeFi tokens, governance tokens, and also when you talk about governance token, right, which is very predominant in the cryptocurrency world, is just a token that shows you have the ability to participate in the network and vote for the direction that particular network will be going to, right? And for DeFi tokens, there are a whole lot of tokens that can be in one platform. You talk about synthetic assets. This, in some cases, these synthetic assets, they exist as a form of token, but they are tokens that are for temporary uses, which might be able to show, for instance, the allocation of a user in the network, or the amount he have used to participate in the particular blockchain, or in the particular network, rather. So I think Paul might be able to do more justice to
break it down further. Okay, yeah, you've given us the broader view. Paul, if you can also break it down to us further, just to make us understand what is out there in the market and the features that differentiate them. Paul, over to you.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yes, I think Josiah has given it a broader category, and because of the time that we have, I don't think I would do it justice to go into a lot of detail. So I think for this, I would like us just to leave it at that. Thank you.
But if you're to list them, I don't know if they're about 4. I've heard of Ethereum, I've heard of whatever. If you could just list them for us.
Are you talking of the different networks or categories?
Please tell us the difference, because that's what we want to learn.
Because as Josiah has said, you know, in the non-native and native tokens, we have those that, for example, are used for utility cases. Like, for example, there are some that for utility cases are not necessarily that can be used as a currency, as a medium of exchange. Or like, for example, you can convert it into a fiat currency. So you just use it within the, within the network to, like to exchange something, or to, to get a service, or to get, but they cannot be converted. So they are not fully, like a crypto. Yeah. And we have this other one that, for example, like, and then we also have, like the native tokens that can be used, for example, on top of being used as a, as a medium of exchange, where you can use it to purchase a good or a service, and you can convert it into a fiat currency. Then they can also be used within the network. For example, in the cases of DeFi, to complete, let's say, to complete transactions through smart contracts, whereby, for example, you complete, you for example, if let's say you are doing buy and selling, you deliver something, then a smart contract could be triggered to make a payment. Or, for example, you do a saving, like for example, the product that Josiah, they are working on, Thrift Finance, and you get an interest, and with that interest, you could be able to, to if it's a native token, then you can be able to convert it and be able to use that, that token to convert into a fiat currency.
And then you have a network. You mentioned that, and then there's a network.
Yes. So you want me to elaborate more on the network?
Just explain so that we can make the difference. Sometimes even I confuse the network and the currency. Just so you get me?
Yes, I understand.
And some writers use these words interchangeably.
Okay. So, for example, when you talk of networks, we have different types of networks.
Yeah.
We have layer 1 and layer 2. For example, Bitcoin and Cardano and Ethereum, those are layer 1 protocols or networks. And then, for example, we have Polygon which is layer 2.
Okay.
It has been built on top of Ethereum.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, even though it has been built on top of Ethereum, they have their own native token. Yeah, which is Matic, which now they use to, to reward people who participate in the network in different ways. Yeah, and then that Matic, you can convert it, you can change it, you can sell it, or you can buy it through an exchange, through a decentralized exchange or a centralized exchange.
Interesting.
Yeah. So
I
I hope
must
that.
add. I
Yeah,
must add in
yeah.
terms of tokens,
Yeah,
because
please
a
add.
lot of people are not aware that NFTs are tokens, even though the full meaning is non-fungible tokens, right? So there are NFTs, and for certain exchanges, they have tokens powering their exchange business, just like FTM, Binance, and the rest of them. Then for certain products that are focused with payments, some of them have payment tokens as well, backing their business. Platforms like Coty and the rest of them. And then, like Paul rightly mentioned, there are utility tokens that are used in the particular network, just as Ethereum and the rest of them. So, and DeFi tokens, like I mentioned earlier. So these are the categories that I can remember.
Fantastic. Fantastic. My last question to you, Josiah. How do I insulate myself from crypto fraud or scam? How do I insulate myself, Josiah?
The most important thing is do your due diligence.
Due diligence,
Right?
okay.
Due diligence. A lot of people, when they want to get into the cryptocurrency space, they go in as a head, right? Being directed by a particular figurehead. I'm talking about what happens, especially in Africa. And in some cases, they get burned at the long run because this head, this leader of this particular head, have more information than them, which he will probably or she will not probably pass over to them, or might decide to pass over to them at a fee.
Yeah.
Right? So if you jump into that, you are likely to get burned. And over the years, what will happen is you will recover. If you are careful, you might discover your mistake and then be able to be part of the ecosystem and then find a way to invest. But the most important thing is due diligence. And the way to do this due diligence is for projects you want to invest in. First of all, like I mentioned earlier, look at their tokenomics. Look at the team behind the project. Are there faces you can see and interact with? Right? What are the value they are offering? Because it's not just about creating cryptocurrencies, right? You have to attach value to these cryptocurrencies. There have to be a value that is being offered. So as a retail investor, you must look at their value proposition. What is it they are bringing to the table, right? Is it solving a problem that would act if, and again, another thing to look at is if this problem can be solved without cryptocurrency, why are they bringing cryptocurrency into it? Of course, you can use the blockchain to solve problems that might not need you to bring cryptocurrency. So look at the factors why they are bringing cryptocurrency in the first place into it. I think and then of course there are other verifications you have to do in terms of their branding, how they look, and every other thing. So the most important general factor that I have to make sure you do your due diligence and don't follow the head. It's a popular word here. Do your research.
Okay.
So you must do your research.
That's very, very, very useful. And in conclusion, again to you, Josiah, this is a lot of information we've shared today, and I like the back and forth and improving everybody's argument. Your different insights have really helped us develop a view on what cryptoeconomics and cryptocurrency is. By way of advising our young people listening to you today, I know you've talked to us about resources before, but specific to cryptoeconomics, what other resources can you direct them to so that their knowledge can get to the level that yours and Paul's is at?
Okay. I think in terms of cryptocurrency, I think Investopedia actually covers cryptocurrency very well. And outside Investopedia, I think there are platforms that are actually teaching people about cryptocurrency. Of course, some universities are beginning to adopt courses based on cryptocurrency. And of course, I must mention platforms like ABYA, which is actually helping to a lot of Africans here to educate them about cryptocurrency, blockchain, and how it could change lives. So also I think one of the resources that can actually improve one's understanding is about cryptocurrency is read white papers of top blockchain projects. There will be a whole lot of knowledge that you unravel in reading these white papers, and a lot of them are just coming. You will wonder the kind of bright minds that envisaged this and be able to bring it out to the world. So for me, I think that have been quite useful.
Thank you so much, Josiah. It was my privilege and pleasure again to have this conversation with you today. Thank you again for gracing us with your time. We have no doubt you're a very busy person. I'm hoping again in the future I'll have another chance to interact with you on a different topic, but within the same domain. Thank you so much for being so gracious.
Thank you,
I
Dr.
learned,
Julian.
I learned a lot from you. From you, Paul. Yeah, go ahead, Josiah.
I'm very pleased to be here. And thank you,
Yeah.
Paul, as well.
Great. So, Paul, we've also learned a lot from you today, but I'll just invite you to make your final remarks, even as you thank Josiah for making it possible with us here today. Over to you, Paul, and then we'll call it a day.
Thank you so much, Dr. Julian. I really want to take this opportunity to thank Josiah to be with us out of his busy schedule. And I also like to thank all our participants, those who have been viewing this live discussion. We really appreciate, and we look forward to seeing more of you guys, everyone, Josiah, and all the participants. And I'm sure if you keep tuning in, we are all going to learn so much that by the end of this, I think none of us will be new to blockchain again. Thank you very much. Back to you, Dr. Julian.
And again, from all our listeners today, we say a big thank you for finding time. Take full advantage of what ABYA is doing on this platform. To you, Paul, putting this together, I give you a big thumbs up. And Josiah, I trust and believe that you'll continue being a big friend of ABYA.
Thank you. Well, sure. That's a fact.
Have a good one until we meet again.
All right. Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, Paul.